Question from Cyan Markey. Are there any modern trends in lighting which you just cannot stand?
Actually, that's a really interesting question. Not that I can think of that I've been very aware of. I think, I mean, just sort of, I think one of the things that has happened over the last 10 years is that a lot of the real craft of photography has been taken out of commercials, and now there's a lot of commercials that are more about just music and fast cutting and anything goes, and the craft of photography has been taken out of a lot of that kind of advertising. I mean, I think the period of sort of masterly, beautifully shot commercials used to be in the days of Ridley Scott and Tony Scott and directors like that in the 80s and 90s, who would spend hours beautifully crafting commercials, and people would actually, certainly in England or in Britain, would make sure that they were sitting down for the commercials and then go and wander off to do other things when the program was running, because the commercials were so much more entertaining than the actual program content. And I think, they still make some wonderful commercials, of course, but the money isn't spent anymore to make things, I mean, I remember a period when it would be quite common to spend, half a day lighting a glass of beer. Now an awful lot of it's done in Photoshop and things like that, for stills campaigns and things like that. And a lot of it's done in After Effects and things like that. So there is a tendency to do a lot more things in post, and sometimes it looks a little bit fake. So I suppose that's the only thing. But I mean, again, my whole thing is that rules are made to be broken. So whatever works, if you've got a good story and it works, then that's cool,
A question from S. Rochelle. Can you explain the effect achieved by using the opal, and how is it different from silk?
It's a good question. That's something that I think silk diffuses a little bit more than opal. And it depends what kind of silk. I mean, silk comes in so many different grades and varieties, and it's easier to cut and handle. Disadvantages of opal is that if it's windy, it makes more noise. Silk makes less noise. But I mean, there's so many thousands of types of diffusion that can be used for different purposes, coming right down to even things like visqueen, which is the cheapest plastic covering you can buy at Home Depot to just slightly soften the sunlight out. And we use in LA an awful lot. And I think it's just a matter of having your favorites. It's just that opal is a very common one in the film business, and so I use it just because I know exactly what it does. But if you like silk, and some people even use black silks to knock out a bit of light as well, and it's depends what kind of silk, really, I suppose. Anyway, let me get back to this. This is where we're going to finally get to the point of talking about false color on a Marshall monitor.
So, false color, peaking.
Okay, cool. I mean, this is the image here. Now, could somebody just pass me that monitor from around there? And sorry, the flashlight as well, sweetie. Sorry. There's basically on a lot of monitors, but particularly on the Marshalls, I love, there's a device called false color. And what it does is it converts all the tones independent of their color into brightness ranges on an IRE scale, because on digital capture, there's a scale called the IRE scale, 0 being absolute black, at which point there is nothing more to be captured in darkness with any detail, because 0, there isn't less than 0. And then at the other end of the scale, there's IRE 100, which is where you begin to clip, and that's where you absolutely amputate anything brighter than 100 IRE is, it can't be recorded, 100 is max. And so basically, you can probably see on here, there's basically a scale of colors. Sadly, it's not on the Marshall monitors on the camera, but basically there's a scale that goes from fuchsia, which is right down here, which never seems to really work all that too well, but can you see that? Right through to 10%, which is our dark blue, 20%, which is our sort of slightly more mid-blue, and then into our 2 shades of gray, which is 30, 40. There's very fine lines between 45 and 50, which is green. 50 is exactly 18% or mid-gray. And then between 50 and 55 is pink, and then lighter gray is 60, 70, up into the yellows, right up to red at the top end, which is the dark yellow at the top is 100, and red is over 100. So anything that's red is clipped. And then, anything that's like this orange color here is in danger of clipping, and anything right down here, in the dark blues right down here is danger of clipping at the bottom end. My personal feeling for exposure on these 5Ds and 7Ds and 1D Mark IVs and so on and so forth is just play a tiny fraction underexposed. I think you can judge quite well from the image what you're doing, but I would suggest that you tend to get your eye in. Is it okay to disconnect this HDMI connector without something exploding?
Just do it. That's fine.
So, a bit difficult to see because you have to look at this at a flat angle, but when Steve was mentioning about setting up the camera yesterday, you like to set it up at 4,
I like
right?
to set it up before.
Yeah, and to me this is a really nice image. It's the right kind of density. It has the right kind of, values in it. But when I plug the HDMI back in there, there's a lot of pretty. Boy, I'm not very good at this. This is why I have assistants. Actually, the images in these two are actually fairly comparable, aren't they? Very often on the Marshall, it looks a bit brighter. So it's if you're going to judge the picture visually, it's probably better to judge it on the LCD on the back of the camera, because sometimes the Marshalls can be a bit bright, apart from when you're in false color. So you see, you've got an awful lot of 10 and 20s in here, which are the dark blue and the light blue, but right up through on the wall there, we're sort of right up into the hot yellows up there on the side of Lorraine's face. Let me just go in to Lorraine's face a little bit tighter. Now you'll see exactly what's going on, and this to me is a really lovely exposure, because you've got the for a moody scene like this, you've got the pink and the green separating exactly 50 IRE, which is the mid-tone here. So to me, this is an absolute perfect exposure if you're going for a moody scene, which is what we're doing here. Of course, it's out of focus, which is not too embarrassing, but.
I see it was focused on his knee.
Yeah. But there you go, that's like a perfect exposure for this situation where you've got your, talking about being very, very slightly under, because in photography, Caucasian skin is generally a stop over mid-gray. I tend to play it about mid-gray on the 5D, so you're just fractionally underexposed. And so then there you have it. So very good indication of, you know, exposure factoring with this. And believe it or not, there's a lot of detail in here, even though this is only this is 20 IRE, the Lorraine's blouse here, and this is 10 IRE out here, but there's plenty of detail in the shadows here. All this will be seen. So there you go. So that's basically, let's go back to our regular shot. That's your coverage. Moving in from here, let's close the door, because the door was closed before, if we may. Could somebody close the door for us?
You had a little question?
Yeah.
So you're getting that signal to the monitor from the HDMI.
Yes.
Is that 100% accurate?
I've found that the false color is 100% accurate. Sometimes the brightness of the monitor isn't to be trusted perfectly. If you're trying to just work off the brightness, go with Steve's suggestion of setting your monitor brightness at 4 and judging it by being completely flat on and looking at this image. And if it's kind of in the ballpark, you're going to be pretty damn good. But this is just a double way of kind of being very, very accurate with your, you know, with your exposure. And you know, that's why I love this. And you know, while we're on the subject, we also have what we call peaking. And this was the way in which our focus pullers on house managed to adapt to pulling focus on a system that's very, very difficult to pull focus on. I'm going to go in. Now, what this does is, they call it peaking. It basically puts a solid red line into where two edges become sharp and butt up against each other. I'll show you that by showing what happens when I mean, just look at Lorraine's hair, for example. Mm-hmm. Where it suddenly just all pops into peaking, and that's when you have the contrast between a darker and lighter shade. But the safest way of pulling focus, I mean, judging focus on this is to look at the reflection in the eyeball, which is right there. Just look slightly up at me, Lorraine, so I can see your eyes. There you go, sweetie. There, so. And then there you have your focus, and it's this was a way that our focus pullers managed to basically do the focus. They judged it all. They had one large monitor that basically had the regular picture, and then they had a smaller monitor that basically was set on peaking. And they, you know, having seen a rehearsal, they tended to know where the actors were going to move, and they anticipated their movement by using this device. But certainly not for the weak of heart. It really is quite tricky stuff. You know, and obviously, the wider the aperture, the more difficult it gets when you're going for very shallow depth of field. So there you go. What else can I tell you about this setup? So this would be good for, let me just pull back out into a regular setup and reframe. Go back to our, oops. That's kind of where, it's about kind of where we were. Okay, so, oh, I see what's happened. This one's moved over. Let's just, Tim, would you mind, does anybody, do you remember that I just took the light off Tim a tiny bit, and the reason I did that was so that the emphasis was thrown forward more onto Lorraine on the other side. We took a stop of brightness. Is that correct? We took a stop off Tim here, just so that your eye was forced to go over to Lorraine a little bit more. Let me get rid of this. Sorry? It's just a half stop. Oh, it's a half stop. Okay. So we basically took some emphasis off Tim here. So, you know, we're sort of more tunnel vision through onto Lorraine. So that was basically the reason for doing that. Now, we're slightly affected by you guys being in the fill light there, but you're fine for the moment. It's absolutely fine. So let's just run that little scene that we did.
Are there cards in here?
Oh no, we're not recording it. I'm just.
They wanted to know if we could.
Sorry?
They wanted to know if we could.
Oh, we can. Yeah, we certainly can. We didn't record the master shot, so it makes it all a little bit silly. But okay, do we want to get cards and record it? Whose request was that? All right. Yeah, let's. Do we really want to record this scene because we didn't record the master?
Yeah, but it won't hurt anything.
Sorry?
It won't hurt anything.
Okay. Let's get some cards then. Jason, are you out back there?
Water?
Oh yeah, great, thanks. While we're putting cards in the cameras, are there any questions or anything I can help anybody with, or?
If you're changing the shot, will you have to change the lighting to give him more?
Oh yeah, when we come around, yeah, definitely. So that means we'll probably have to go back and do the wide shot again.
Gail, I have a quick question from Gotta Know. If you are set for a preset like CineStyle, does this dramatically affect the false color viewing?
Sorry, if I was
If you were using the CineStyle preset, does that dramatically affect the false color viewing?
It does a little bit, but you know, I mean, all that happens in terms of CineStyle is that you get a little bit more flatness, but it still tells you the same thing. I mean, that you'd be doing the same things to avoid clipping and peaking and losing your shadow detail to total black. So it would. But it means that, you know, because you've got slightly more dynamic range, you probably need to do less to, you know, help it out, if that makes any sense. But it certainly would be affected by that, you know, I would say. I mean, Steve, would you agree with that? I hadn't really thought about it very much. If when one's in the CineStyle mode, whether the false color that's an interesting question, isn't it?
I think it's just carrying your exposure. It's still the same. It's still going to show up the same on the false color, you know? If it's going to clip, it's going to clip.
Right. Yeah, that's what I would say. I think it probably doesn't have an awful lot of bearing, you know? But good question. I'll have to play with that a little bit.
It's there just to kind of give you a representation of what you're getting. It's not going to affect anything on the output.
I have a question from Michael Solomon, who would like to know what your thoughts are on anamorphic filming on DSLRs.
Haven't done it. Terrified of doing it. I think it's already on the edge and just about getting away with what we have, because it's so compressed that when you start stretching pixels out to twice their width and all of that stuff, then I think you're asking for trouble, and I just don't think it's the right creature for it. But then again, you know, having said yesterday, if the script's good enough, you can shoot it on gaffer tape. You know, maybe it's fine. You know, but I've never tried it. I don't know anybody that has. It's just because House is not an anamorphic format thing, and I don't have a lot of time to play around with lots of the tricks and things. I'm not sure, so maybe somebody else from the internet could answer that. I'm sure some people out there have done exactly that very thing, but I haven't, I'm afraid. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, mess with that.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful with 5D, like you said, compression. Whew.
Yeah, if you start stretching it and trying to blow it up more and things like that, I think you're kind of getting on very thin ice. I mean, I think we just get away with it, you know, really.
More questions? From a question from Viewfinder Visuals. Earlier that you mentioned the zone system, and in interpreting the Marshall monitor, you were judging the scene and tones. How important do you feel a knowledge of the zone system is to cinematography?
I think it was obviously more valid for traditional photography, but I still think that it's a good thing to have in your head, because basically everything you do in your photographic life is taking real life and compressing it down to what can be recorded on whatever medium you work on. So obviously you could create your own zone system for the 5D. The only thing is that zone system has to work within about 10 stops, whereas on film it's about 14 stops. So I just think it's a really great thing to think about in terms of, you know, where are your highlights, where are your midtones, and where are your shadows, and whether they're on the map or off the map, which is basically what the zone system is all about. And so the IRE scale, in a way, is just another version of the zone system. You know, wouldn't you say? I mean, it's the same thing, just a different form of it. You know, it's like, yeah,
Zone was, you know,
yeah, yeah.
a little older.
You know, and I mean, there were things that you could do on film to increase your dynamic range. You could do things like overexpose and underdevelop, and capture much more contrast and things like that, which you can't do on digital. So I suppose the zone system would be a way, you know, all those guys like Ansel Adams were very much into that. And, you know, there'd be scenes they'd shoot where probably they would do exactly that. They might overexpose 2 stops and only develop the film for half the amount of time, so that they'd basically compress huge contrast down to a large extent, and then be able to pull it back out again by controlling it with the contrast grades of their paper and their developers and things like that. And it's the reason why, you know, Steve and I were talking yesterday about what I feel sort of helped my roots in terms of being a good cinematographer, or a reasonable, or at least an employed cinematographer. You know, it's the work I did in a darkroom, and, you know, understanding how those things work is incredibly helpful. And I mean, I think I actually feel sorry for people that have just grown up in the digital age that never got to develop film and make prints, because I think it's rather sad, because the way you see, if you actually observe the way most people take photographs these days, they just start clicking away, and then eventually an image will show up. Yeah. and then they'll start to play from there. I mean, you would never do that on film because it was expensive, and by the time you'd figured out where your exposure was, your 36 exposure film was already gone. So people are very lazy about thinking about light, and thinking about exposure, and thinking about contrast, and thinking about whether something in the shot's too bright, and by moving one way or the other they could avoid it, or, you know, things like that. It's, you know, because digital photography costs nothing, it's created a laziness in the way in which people photograph things, and that's very sad. And you know, so there you go. Back to this. Where were we? Can't remember where we were here now.
Getting ready to record, and then we just put cards in.
Oh, that's right. Cool. Okay, so let me just check. Where are we? Stopwise on this, are we?
4 on that one. 640.
Or at 640, let's see.
That one's at 320.
So we should just double check this and this. Yeah, so we probably want to go to 642.
Yeah, they make it easy, huh, with that,
Yeah,
right?
they do. Okay.
That's 800.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool.
Good.
Okay. Just double check that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. All right, so let's just let's go back to our first positions, and then we can just run these as static cameras. I think they work kind of quite well as static cameras. Just Tim, just go back to your chair, and then just come into it, and just as best as you can remember, just go through the scene again. And okay.
Record on them?
Yeah, might as well. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, and oops, what happened? All right.
Signal.
Okay. Oh, no, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, and set and action.
I tried, I went home, I tried to do it, and it just wasn't, couldn't, I tried to do what you told me to do.
Did you make the list? Did you make the list like I asked you to make the list? With the pen?
I used a pencil.
You can't use a pencil.
I can't.
We went over this.
I can't use the pen.
You have to
I
use,
can't,
it's about the ink.
Okay, look, it leaves ink on my
It
hands.
should leave.
It doesn't come off.
Sorry, guys, I'm going to cut. I'm getting a problem with this camera. It keeps cutting off. I do want to record this. You know, it's just wasting so much time. You know, we can see it on there, and that's all that counts. Okay, so let's go over the scene. Let's start the scene again. Okay, sorry, Tim. Sorry, guys. Okay, and cameras are set and action.
Tried, okay, I tried to do what you wanted me to do. I went home, I tried, I just couldn't.
Did you make the list? Did you make the list like I asked you to?
I made the list.
Did you use the pen? I asked you to use the pen.
I used a pencil.
It's not about the pencil. It's about the pen. It's about... Use the pen.
I can't use the pen, okay? It leaves marks on my hands. I can't get them off. They're on my hands.
You can't get them off. That's the point.
But I don't want, I can't.
Look at your hands.
Okay. Oh,
The
no.
list...
That's great, actually. Let's cut that. That's cool. Okay, so not that we were rolling, but we'll cut acting-wise there. So what I would suggest is to continue with this scene and following up on your idea. I think it'd be very interesting to get in here on sort of quite a wide-angle lens and, you know, get that sort of demented look. So we can try that as one look. So what we should do is probably, let's lose the table. If we can lose the table. Can I get some help with that?
You want to be wider than a 24?
Sorry?
You want to be wider than a 24?
No, I think not. I think the 24 should be fine.
Yeah.
Cool. And then we'll move, we'll basically go to one camera because I don't think we'll get another camera in on this one. And we'll come right into here. How far forward did you lean, do you think, Morris? About there, yeah, so it wasn't all that much.
No,
Okay.
and I can make that less if you need it.
Okay. Let's just get in way closer. Sorry, can you, we're not going to see your legs, so put your legs out that way if you don't mind, and then I can get a little bit closer to you. Okay, and then do you lean forward? Yeah, that's pretty good. So, anybody watching and looking from home, we've sort of, you know, we are now within Lorraine's inner circle. I think there's a very important zone once you get within effectively the striking distance of an actor. You're right in their inner circle. You're no longer observing anymore. You're right sort of on top of her and feeling her presence, and it becomes a much more powerful shot. And let's see you just do your lean forward, Lorraine. Yeah, just exaggerate it a tiny bit. And let's just cheat. This is where we want to cheat the eye line to bring the eye line. So can we give Tim let's slide Tim's armchair a little bit that way if we can get a little bit of help with that. And then we'll make the eye line very tight through here. Yeah, and then if you lean to your right, Tim, that should be pretty cool. Can you see him through there? And then lean forward, Lorraine. That's it. That's really cool. Yeah, so that starts to have real power, and I think it's kind of interesting. Okay, now let me just check the. Yeah, we're still good on the false color monitor. The only thing I might be tempted to do on this is to just bring this rag in and just soften the light a tiny bit more. Can we try that? Can we bring it right into kind of here? Just stop now, distraction. I think we're good here. Oops. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Lovely. All right. Cool. Okay, so let's, yeah, I forgot to check the focus when I was in there.
Are you seeing my friend?
Let me just hold on that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, cool. All right, that's good. So we're good to go on this, and just going to. Okay, so let's pick it up again from the move across, just so that you always feel those sorts of movements. So I'm going to stand way back, so I'm not creating any kind of shadow. So let's just have a look at the large monitor there. So just basically go through the scene again, and then when we'll see whether the focus holds. Actually, Jason, do me a favor. Why don't you sit on an apple box next to the camera and just ease the focus if Lorraine comes. Just sit yourself down on an apple box, or just ease the focus if she comes to. Now, the only thing you've got to be careful of is not getting in her eye line to Tim, who's going to end up over here. Is that going to be okay for you, Lorraine? Cool. So you're okay. Do you want to just show us how much you're going to lean forward, Lorraine? Yeah. So it'll be that much, Jason. If you can just manage to hold that and then ease it back if Lorraine sits back. Okay. And do you think you've got a clear eye line? So Tim, just find Lorraine if you can. Just Okay. Okay. Let's go for it. Okay. Are we all ready? Okay. And action, Tim.
I tried to do what you told me. I tried, okay? I went home and I tried it. I couldn't.
Did you make the list? Did you make the list?
I made the list.
Did you use the pen? I asked you to use the pen. Did you use the pen?
I used a pencil.
It's not about the pencil. It's about the pen.
I can't use the pen. Okay, I can't use the pen. It's what it does to my hands. It leaves it on my hands. Okay?
That's where it belongs.
But it won't wash off. I can't.
It shouldn't wash off. That's the issue.
I can't use
You
the pen.
can't keep erasing. You need the ink on your hands.
It's it's dirty.
That's cool. You know, that's great. Okay, cut it down. Cool. I'd like somebody from the class or somebody from the internet to contribute something here. Let's get a suggestion of a shot from somebody either on the internet or in the class or both, and we'll see how that looks.
Well, one thing I noticed with the wide shot is at the very beginning, she was really shaking her foot, even though she was holding still, and that was kind of my first indication that she was going to wig out eventually. So that might be a nice shot.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. Okay, that would be a special shot. That what you tend to do would be to cover the scene, because on something like House, because you're up against such a tight schedule, that's a very, very nice idea. You might come back to that shot a few days later with one of the stand-ins to do that, or, you know what I mean? Because the machinery is so expensive to just set side apart from doing a foot shot when it could be anybody's foot, as long as it's wearing the right socks and shoes. You know, you'd come back to that, but that's a very nice idea. I mean, in this case, we could do that very, very quickly. Jason, just let's pull the camera back, and then we can cross your legs the way they were. Just come back to about. You know what? Take the camera off the head, because it'll be much more fun to be down on the carpet.
I could just go on shoulder rig.
No, I mean put the camera on the floor, on the carpet. Just take it off the head. Cool. So I'll get rid of that. Then just rest that right down on the ground. Now, this is where we really do need a little bit of clearance here. Sorry, guys. Just to let some light through. And now, I'd go in a bit closer, Jason, because I think otherwise we're missing the table. Yeah, that's it. And we probably need to... yeah, that's quite nice, actually. I tell you what, let's. What happened to the table that was here? Let's bring the table back in. That might be a rather nice foreground piece. Is it still there? Do you know what I mean? Just sort of having a piece of the table. Sure, might be nice. Oh, that light got panned off. Let's pan that redhead back onto the bounce board. Just put the table in there. That's it, and see whether you can find an angle here. Just lift the table up at this end. See if we can squeeze the camera under here. Okay, try lowering the table. Let's see whether we can get something going. Is that working? I tell you what, do we have
An apple box.
actually that might be.
Go ahead, I got the table.
Just yeah, that's not work. I'll tell you what, we have to have it on all of this. Can we just take it off here? Yeah, just put it off here.
Table.
Sorry, Jason. Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll just get the camera loose, and then we can do what we want with it. So let's turn this way, and we can put the table down on the ground. Yeah. So just lose those completely. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think so. Just let it down. Now, just see if you can get a shot. So let me have a look. Okay, I got it. Yeah, that's got a little bit of the rig in the foreground. Oops. There we go. mean, it's a bit insane, but it's kind of, it's more interesting angle to have a bit of foreground into it. I can't
So it's
see,
insane,
let
that's
me
what
just
we're
see
going
whether
for.
I've got some kind of, oops. 1 sec. Okay, so let me, let's try and get some focus. Oh, hang on, hold on, monitor back down where it was. Yeah, that's it. Just play with the focus, Jason. I can't quite see it from here. Right now. Okay, that's nice. Now we've got some foreground going and so on and so forth. So let's just, we'll take this from, Tim's already, somebody's in the line. Okay. Tim's already seated. So just pick it up from the act of sitting down, Tim, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, and action.
Did you make the list like I asked you to?
I made the list.
With the pen.
I used the pencil.
It's about the pen.
I can't
It's about the pen.
use the pen. It leaves marks on my hands.
That's what it's about.
But they won't wash off.
It shouldn't wash off.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's just do a tighter version of this. Can you zoom in, Jason? Okay, just hold it there. That was quite nice. Okay, let's do a version like that. Okay, let's roll that again. I mean, and okay, and got it. Okay, and action.
Did you make the list like I asked you to?
I made the list.
Like I asked you to, with the pen.
I used the pencil.
It's not about the pencil, it's about the
Okay,
pen.
let's cut it there. That's plenty for a little cutaway. Okay. All right, so let's cut that. And basically, to make a sequence, I mean, obviously, a very, very simple sequence. We have only a couple of shots remaining, which is basically 2 shots back onto Tim. So let's see if we can do those quickly and set up for that. So what I think we should do is to just do a bit of cheating here. We'll take Tim's chair back to where it was down, so we've got some interesting background. I think we can take that out for the moment, the opal. Now, what we probably want to do is we're probably going to have to do a bit of cheating here. Let's lose this table completely. We're going to slide this chair all the way down there. We're probably going to sit Lorraine on an apple box so we can get behind her.
Sounds like we're moving the sofa too.
Well, I think we'll lose the sofa completely and just put Lorraine on an apple box so we can just feel a piece of her. So Jason, just pull the camera out of there, because yeah, keep going with the sofa a bit more. That's it. Cool. That's good.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my water. Let me grab that away so it doesn't live here.
Let me just rescue my tea from there. Thanks. Shall I take any questions while we're?
Well, Gail, you had asked the internet audience if they had suggestions for shots.
Yeah.
So we can read off some of those.
Okay.
They had a lot, Gail.
Oh, they did. So
Yes.
we've already turned around now, so they were a bit too slow, but.
Well, that was us. We didn't jump in. We wanted you to get one shot
You're
at a
good.
time, so.
So Hollywood 88's idea was a slider shot into Lorraine over the shoulder, quite wide, as she has a lovely backlight.
That's nice. I would agree with that. I mean, we're just let everyone know we're taking some terrible shortcuts here just to get through a whole scene in a short time. But that's a very nice idea, and to introduce movement into it like that is really cool. and very important.
Quite a few people wanted close-ups of the hands, of her
Yeah.
hands as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's similar kind of thing to the foot, but also very valid.
Right. Very expressive.
Yeah, definitely.
We did have a question from Nick Justice, who had asked if you can explain a little more about eye lines.
Yeah, I think, whenever you, again, it's a rule, a convention that can be broken whenever you want it, but there's a rule called crossing the line, and a line exists between two actors, and having started on this side of the line, in other words, with Tim facing left to right and Lorraine facing right to left, unless there's a very valid reason, you may as well stay on that side of the line. If you want to cross the line, it's good to do it with a camera movement so that the audience isn't confused, because if you shoot one shot from one side of the line, say on Tim, and then an opposing shot on Lorraine from the other side of the line, you'll end up with two shots where they're both looking in the same direction as opposed to looking at each other. And it gets very confusing. And, so unless there's good reason to, it's something that, script supervisors are constantly on directors about saying, well, we need to also cover it from this side of the line, because when we shot him, he was looking left to right, and now you've got the other actor looking back, and he's still looking left to right, and it looks really weird. And so, it's something that script supervisors are very hot on, following the convention, because when you get into the cutting room, it's surprisingly easy to kind of have shots that don't cut together too well. I mean, some of the most, the nastiest scenes to shoot and direct in terms of eye lines are when you have, say, 12 people sitting around a circular table. It's a nightmare, because no matter where you put the camera, it'll be good for some bits and bad for other bits, because you get, if the conversation is jumping around all over the place, it might be great for a master shot, but as soon as you decide to go between two actors, once you start getting in close, inevitably some of it's going to fall apart because they'll be looking in the wrong direction relative to the wide shot. And, so it's something that's very good to work out on paper, and especially scenes like that where you have multiple people sitting around a table, you can get your knickers in a twist very quickly.
All right, thanks, Gil. I know we had talked about that yesterday, but we had quite a few more questions about it, so thank you for that.
All right, so let's see if we can get this one together a little bit. Let's bring the, see if we can bring the Cucaloris in a tiny bit so we break it up a little bit more. And we'll see if we can find a nice hole for Tim there. Let's maybe lower it down. I think the game is to lower it down, and then... Now, the only thing is, Jason, we want to match the shots we did, so let's cheat Lorraine into here. And you just sit down there. Yeah, I think we've lowered it a bit too much because we've lost all the light on, so let's get both cameras in. Let's get the 70 to 200 in here. And then we'll put this back on sticks and go back the other way. And then it'll be very conventional and, but at least we'll have completed the sequence with these two shots. And so the 70 to 200 should be right back against the wall over here, just feeling a tiny piece of Lorraine and hopefully not getting a camera shadow. So let's have a look. Let me come over here. Just have a little look, see that. Let me have a little look. There we go. So. Now, Lorraine, let me just cheat you to your right a little bit, sweetheart. if you wouldn't mind, just shift your box over. It's always better. Yeah, that's not a bad match to what we had before from memory. And then let's get the other shot. Can we get the sticks? Yeah, the sticks will go right down next to this camera angle. We're a little bit flat on the light here, but we don't have time because we have to wrap fairly soonish to take the light around. It would have been nice to have recreated this kind of cucurloris effect from off the side of the set to give a little bit more shape to Tim. He's a little bit flat here. Can we just play with the cucurloris? Let's take it very slightly camera left, just to get a little bit more light on Tim. Maybe put a little bit of spot into it. It just needs a little bit more heat or something. I'll tell you what, I really didn't want to do this, but actually that's pretty good. Let's just put a weeny bit of spot into it. Okay. Okay, cool. And let's have a. We can probably play with that grip single now, and just maybe we'll take it off Michael completely, but just try and use it on the wall. If we try and sort of do this kind of angle, like that, so we'll reposition that grip single, and we might even go to a grip double. Well, just go full spot and see where you are first of all. Just swing that single out of the way. And then just make sure you're centered with your 2K. Oh, that's now back right off. Just lock it off. Now you know you're centered, just before Tim bursts into flames. Okay, all right, hang on a second. Now, you know what? I feel that, let's put, the apple box feels a little bit high. Let's turn the apple box the other way. May we do that, Lorraine? Just turn it the other way, yeah. That's it, like that. Cool, that feels better. Now, we still feel incredibly spotted on the 2K. Is that full flood? Oh, there we go, okay. All right, now let's try and get the cucurloris. I'll tell you what, before we do anything, let's roll the 2K to the left a little bit. Just roll it left, and we'll use this window frame to cut it off the wall on the left there. Yeah, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. More, keep going, keep going. About there, hold it there. It's not bad. And then let's use the grip single just to ease the light off the bookcase and the wall just behind Tim. Now, Lorraine, just slide along the box a little bit, sweetie. Left, right? Yeah, to your left, sorry. And even a little bit more. Is that still working on that one? Good. Yeah, keep going. Can we afford to go a bit more? More? Yep. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now, let me can I have a grip double inside as well? You know, an open-sided grip double, like the single you've got there. So you want it to be a triple option? No, I'd love to have one inside as well. Yeah, I just want to see if the idea will work, basically, or whether it's going to be too sharp here. Yeah, it's going to be too sharp here. Just what I'm love to do, I'd love to get some light off the wall like that, but from outside, because this is way too sharp inside. Just see if we can do something like that. Use the double instead of the single. Yeah, so the single's covering him completely at the moment, so yeah, just lose the single completely, because all it's done is just take half a stop of light off the overall image.
Come inside and knock on it.
What I'm trying to do is just to control the light here. I don't care how you do it, just get a soft flag through here. Use the double, probably better than the single, but just give me an angle so it doesn't take the light off Tim's face. Yeah, now we're cooking. Cool, that's great. Yeah, we do something like that. So make that a base, and then we'll just raise it a fraction. Sorry?
He's holding it, so we're good.
How's that one looking? Is that one looking all right?
She's a little close in, but
Let's just try and come in a bit. Can you lose that top angle, Jason? We don't really need it, do we? Is there a way of... Actually, you know what? Maybe I got it. Yeah, that's better. That's good. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so just let's set our exposures and set our focus and all that stuff, and then... So basically, we've now got two shots that... That's pretty good now. Yeah. We've basically got two shots that match our reverses. Again, of course, it'd be lovely to have a slider just to kind of have a bit of movement going here. And, but basically we've, by completing these two shots, we've basically got a sequence. So let's have Tim just start over in the chair here. And, okay, so as the, we'll just start you right over in the chair. That probably isn't too relevant anymore, but, okay, and then just, basically I'll just call action, and if you just go straight into it, and then just go through that. Okay, and, is everyone ready? Okay, and action, Tim.
I tried to do what you told me to do. And
Did you make the list?
Yeah, I made the list.
With the pen. Did you make the list with the pen?
I used a pencil.
It's not about the pencil. It's about the pen.
I can't use the pen.
It's about the pen.
But it won't come off.
It's not supposed to come off.
I can't wash my hands. It won't come off.
It's not supposed to come off. You can't keep erasing it. You have to live with it. It's about the ink.
I don't want to use the pen.
It's about the ink on your hands.
It's dirty.
You're dirty. You can't be clean.
Cool, I think that's great. Okay. All right, so basically what we've managed to achieve is we never did our daylight scene, but the night scene is actually sort of slightly more interesting anyway. We basically completed a scene. What we probably would want to do if we had more time is to do a close-up on Tim to match the close-up on Lorraine, but probably with a less wide-angle lens to emphasize the difference between their two states of mind, making his slightly more of a conventional shot than hers. She was on a rather wide-angle lens and, was sort of very expressive, leaning into the camera and sort of having this slight, tiny bit of distortion. So basically, there's a sequence, and Does anybody have any questions? Does that make sense? I mean, that's how you. Okay, it's bog standard, but this is just food for thought, and you expand from this point onwards. The idea about the feet was very nice. The idea from the internet about the hands close up is really nice. These are all the textured pieces that make scenes come to life. It'd be very nice if we had time to go in and be even more demented on Lorraine, be right into her eyes. But basically, that's just a very simple construction of a scene that's sort of basically wood cut together. And, of course, it's lovely to have more time and, more time to play, more time for camera movement. But well done, guys. That was really very convincing and really sweet of you. So,
Let's take a quick 10-minute break and come back and do some Q&A for the end of the day.
sure, absolutely.
Nice
Cool.
work, guys.
Great.